Musical note backslash. Eerie ambient music begins softly in the background. A few years ago, something very weird happened to my best friend. I was 15 at the time. That night, I decided to sleep over at his house. After a long night of scary movies, we were still wide awake and kind of in the mood to do something more thrilling. Not far from his house, there was this whole block of old houses. Totally wrecked. The kind that looks like they've been forgotten by time. We'd heard that in just 2 days, the government was going to demolish the entire site to build something new. The whole area was fenced off. Big warning signs everywhere. Do not enter. Every house was shut down, boarded up, nailed tight. Windows and doors sealed completely. But we were curious. We decided to take a walk through the old block, snap a few random photos. My friend knew of a small opening in the fence, a spot we could use to sneak inside. When we got there, it was just like we expected. Every house locked up tight. No way in. But then, we noticed something. One house had a window on the top floor. It wasn't boarded up properly. We could see just a sliver of the room inside. So, we took a photo. Just one. With a digital camera. Later, when we got home, we were scrolling through the pictures, laughing, joking. And then we saw it. The picture. Inside that window backslash was a woman. She was dressed in a long brown raincoat. Her skin, pale as paper. Hair, jet black, and so long, we couldn't even see where it ended. But the most disturbing thing? Her face. She looked so sad. Like the kind of sadness that doesn't fade. The kind that sticks to your bones. But here's the thing. When we took the photo, we didn't see anyone there. Not even a shadow. And that window, the one we saw her in, it was supposed to be sealed shut. We went back, just to be sure. We checked everything. Every window backslash, every door, all of it, nailed closed. There was no woman. This next part isn't my story. It belongs to my friend from Japan. Let's call him Rita. He told me about something that happened when he was around 11, maybe 12. Now, Rita was a good-looking kid. Smart. Polite. Naturally, he had his share of admirers. But there was one girl, one who took it way too far. Her name was Ayano. She was 17, much older than Rita. She lived just a few houses down. He didn't pay much attention to her at first. But then, she started following him. Day and night. In person. Online. Always watching. At first, it was just constant messages. Dozens of them. Stuff like, asterisk, be safe. Are you okay? Sleep well. Asterisk, every single day. 20 messages. Sometimes more. Then the messages changed. They got creepy. Disturbing. You should eat your lunch, she said once, on the exact day he skipped lunch. I think your sister is hungry, she wrote. When his little sister was crying in the other room. That was it. Rita stopped using his phone. Deleted his socials. But Ayano didn't stop. Rita's mom worked a lot, so he was often home with babysitters. One day, there was a new one. It was Ayano. At first, she didn't do anything strange. She acted like any other babysitter. But slowly, she started getting close. Too close. With Rita and his mom. Then one day, at school, she walked up to him. Your mom left the country for a week, she said with a smile. Asterisk, she told me you'll be staying at my place. Asterisk. Rita was hesitant. But, if it was his mom's wish, what could he do? He went with her. When they got to her house, her parents weren't home. What happened next is a bit blurry. Even now, Rita gets emotional trying to talk about it. He said Ayano made him play weird games. Pretend games. Family. She was the wife. He was the husband. Then, cops and robbers. Or games where she'd blindfold him and leave him alone in a room. Silent. For hours. By the 5th day, she left to go work a shift at her part-time job. She locked every door. Every window was too high to reach. He was trapped. So he sat in front of the TV, trying to distract himself. That's when he saw it. A missing child alert. It was his face on the screen. Before he could read the number to call, the screen went black. Ayano was standing right behind him, remote in her hand. Rita screamed, cried, fought her grip. He wriggled away, found a window, and screamed for help. A couple walking past heard him, called the police. Within the hour, the officers arrived. They found Rita blindfolded, hands tied, locked in her bedroom. She was taken away. Because she was a minor, Rita never found out what happened to her. He moved to Australia after that. But even now backslash. He still cowers. At the sound of her name. Finished each box with a nod, a forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking. headed straight for me. I figured he was probably drunk. So I stepped as close as I could to the edge of the road, giving him most of the sidewalk. But the closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was tall, lanky, wearing an old, dusty suit. And he danced, closer, closer still, until I could make out his face. His eyes, wide open, wild, head tilted slightly back, staring off at the sky. And his mouth was stretched into this painfully wide cartoon smile. Something out of a nightmare. Between that smile and those unblinking eyes, I decided to cross the street, fast, before he got any closer. I looked away for a second to step off the sidewalk and cross. No traffic, empty street. But when I glanced back, I stopped cold. He had stopped too, right where I had left him, 1 foot in the street. Body turned perfectly toward me, but still staring up at the sky. That grin still plastered across his face. My skin turned cold. I started walking again. Slowly. Eyes still locked on him. He didn't move. I put about half a block between us. And then, for just a moment, I looked forward again to watch the sidewalk ahead of me. Still empty. But when I looked back, he was gone. My chest eased for a split second. Relief. Until I saw him. He had crossed the street. And now he was crouched. Low. Almost squatting in the shadows. I couldn't see his face, but I knew he was watching me. I had only looked away for maybe 10 seconds. He had moved fast. My breath caught. I stood frozen, just staring. Then, he started moving again, toward me, but not walking. He was taking long, exaggerated tiptoe steps, like some cartoon thief sneaking around. Only this time, he was fast. Too fast. I'd love to say I ran, or pulled my phone, or screamed, but I didn't. I just stood there, frozen. And then, he stopped, just 1 car's length away, still smiling, still looking to the sky. My throat tightened. I finally found my voice and blurted something out. Anything. I meant to yell, "What the F ******* do you want?" But what came out was barely a whisper. What the F? That fear? You could hear it in my voice. I knew he could too, but he didn't react. He just stood there. And after what felt like forever, he turned, slowly, and started walking away. Just like that. But I didn't dare turn my back again. So I watched. I watched until he was far enough away. Until he stopped moving. He wasn't dancing anymore. He wasn't walking away. He was getting closer again. Bigger. Faster. He was running at me now. I ran too. Down the street, heart pounding in my chest. I didn't stop until I reached a busier road. Brighter. With traffic. With people. I looked behind me. Nothing. The rest of the walk home. I couldn't stop glancing over my shoulder, expecting that stupid smile to show up again. But it never did. I stayed in that city for another 6 months. Never once went out walking at night again. There was something about that face. He didn't look drunk. He didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane. And that's the scariest thing you can ever see. My mom used to work as a cleaner in Australia back in the mid-'80s. She'd clean houses out in the suburbs, sometimes the wine country, left business cards in little local shops, got clients through word of mouth. One day she got a call. A woman, sounded like she was in her 60s, asking Mom to clean her old farmhouse. The lady had some strange requests, very specific, and weirdly, she refused to meet my mom in person. Said she'd just leave the keys under the front doormat. That was unusual, but the lady also offered to pay way more than anyone else. Enough to convince Mom to accept. She went out early Monday morning. Said the driveway was long, lonely. The house sat in the middle of a wide, empty property, unnervingly quiet. She found the keys, went inside, and started cleaning. About an hour in, she heard the back door slam shut. She froze. The woman told her no one would be home. There wasn't another car in sight. She stood there, in the kitchen, paralyzed. 3 minutes passed, maybe 4. It felt like forever. But then silence. She debated leaving, but she had just 2 rooms left, both bedrooms. Eventually, she convinced herself maybe it was nothing. A draft, something falling. She headed down the hallway, opened the bedroom door, and stopped cold. The bed was covered in black and white photographs. All of her, some taken at our family home, others at different houses she'd cleaned. Through windows, over fences, photos of her, taken without her knowing. Dozens of them. She used the landline to call the police, and left immediately. Later, we found out the woman was investigated. She claimed it was a break-in. The police never got to the bottom of it. We moved to a new town 4 months later. I was 22 when it happened. Just moved into my first apartment. One summer evening, I walked to the lobby to get my mail, still on a call with my friend. My apartment door locked automatically when shut. I came back in, sat on my bed, still chatting, flipping through some mail. I dropped my phone. It slid under the bed. I laid down, reached underneath, and froze. There was someone under my bed. His back was to me, his head tucked toward his chest. He hadn't seen me. My chest went ice cold. My limbs locked. But I tried to act calm. I picked up the phone and said, "Sorry, I dropped my phone. I'm gonna hop in the shower. I'll call you back." The bathroom was right next to my bed. I walked in slowly, locked the door, turned on the shower, opened the window, jumped out. Then I called the police. They told me to wait across the street. Hide. Watch the building. See if anyone came out. My friend arrived. We watched the door, the bathroom window. Then, the police arrived. I handed them my keys. They went inside. Minutes later, they came out holding a thin, tired-looking man. His eyes looked gone. The officer told me he'd been standing right outside the bathroom door, holding a kitchen knife, waiting. He had slipped into my apartment while I was getting the mail and hid under my bed. They found out he was homeless. He was sent to a mental hospital. Let me know when you're ready for the next section. I'll keep matching this exact style, haunting, immersive, and tailored for voice performance. Here is your rewritten horror continuation with emotional depth, natural pronunciation cues, and a flow ideal for AI or human voiceover narration, keeping the story intact, removing any bullet formatting, and enhancing it for maximum tension and realism. Bang. A sudden, violent bang at the front door. He was trying to bust it open. I don't even think he tried the knob. Just brute force. It didn't matter. The cinder blocks held. After a few more hollow, bone-jarring hits, he stopped. Just like that. Gave up. I stayed up the whole night. Gun by my side. My girlfriend somehow slept through it. First thing in the morning, we packed up and left. Didn't speak much. But before we pulled out of the driveway, I saw something. Footprints. Fresh ones. Leading from the front yard window / into the woods. We never went back. My grandparents still do, occasionally. They said there was no sign of a break-in. Nothing missing. But I don't care. I'm never going back up there. Back when my grandmother was still alive, I used to walk down the block every day to help her with chores. Always the same time. Always the same routine. That day started no different. I let myself in. She always locked everything. But today, the door was open. Strange. She was paranoid about security. Upstairs, her bedroom door was open. I could hear drawers opening and closing. "Grandma." I called out, walking up. When I was just 5 feet from the door, slam. The door shut in my face. I raised my hand to knock, but just then, my phone rang. It was my grandma's number. I picked it up, confused, and she said, "Don't come over today. I'm walking to the senior club." My heart skipped a beat. She was calling me from the other side of town, but someone was upstairs. I hung up without saying a word. I forced my voice calm and called out, "Okay, Grandma, I'll be downstairs." I walked into the kitchen, quietly, grabbed a knife, dialed 911. I stayed by the window, holding my breath. When the police arrived and broke open the bedroom door, bang, a gunshot exploded from inside. It was deafening. Paramedics rushed in, rolled out a man, a face I recognized, my grandma's next-door neighbor. Apparently, he saw her leave the house. He broke in, searching for jewelry, and when the police found him, he was hiding behind the bedroom door, large knife in hand. If I had walked in, I would have died that day. The most haunting moment of my life. Me and my wife had just gotten back from dinner. It was quiet, peaceful, normal, until we stepped out of the car and saw the front door to our house wide open. I told my wife to stay outside. I ran in, straight upstairs, to our bedroom, grabbed the shotgun, loaded it, then checked the rooms upstairs. Nothing. Main floor. Nothing. Basement. Nothing. I called the cops, told them what happened. They came, did a full sweep, found nothing. Nothing stolen. Nothing touched. They asked if we were sure we shut the door when we left. I wasn't. Not really. But my wife? She was certain. Still, the police said whoever it was probably left in a rush. My wife was shaking, crying. She said she didn't feel safe in the house anymore. I held her, reassured her. Eventually, we fell asleep. Hours passed, until her scream jolted me awake. She was staring, frozen, at the closet. I realized I never checked the second closet. I looked over just in time to see a head, a man, peeking through the door. Then, click, the door shut again. I jumped up, grabbed the shotgun, cocked it. Clack. I shouted, "Asterisk, come out." Asterisk. The door opened, but instead of surrendering, he ran, bolted straight through the house and out the front door. I could have shot him, but I didn't. He got away, never caught. But I truly believe having that shotgun saved our lives. A year ago, while still living under my parents' roof, something strange began happening. It started with small noises, creaks. One night, I was lying in bed, late, wide awake. That's when I heard it. A slow deliberate creak. I sat up. The closet door had opened. I got up and checked. Nobody there. I was 26. Felt stupid even checking. Closed the door. Went back to bed. Then came the rattling. A rumble. Something from above. Like something moving in the air ducts. It stopped after a while. Weird, but I forgot about it quickly. Next morning, I mentioned it to my dad. He brushed it off. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Lying in bed, reflecting. Then creak. The closet. Again. This time, I was afraid. I knew that door had been shut. Firmly shut. It would have taken someone physically twisting the handle to open it. If you're ready to continue, send the rest, and I'll keep going with this exact voiceover tone. Let me know if you'd also like this prepared in a formatted voice script, with pauses, audio stage directions, or broken into scenes. Here's the final rewritten continuation of your horror narration. It's structured with realistic pacing, emotional delivery, and pronunciation cues, tailored for AI or human voiceover, still keeping your exact story intact, with no added content or edits to plot, only dramatic voice-oriented enhancement. The doorknob would have had to turn for that closet door to swing open. That was the only way. So that night, I took an extra careful look inside. Even though the closet wasn't big and there was really nowhere to hide, I still checked. And still, nothing. I told myself, maybe it's a faulty latch, a loose hinge, something mechanical. It was the only thing that made sense. Later that night, it happened again. The rattling. From above. In the ceiling. Just like the night before. By now I was completely on edge. The next morning, I insisted my dad take a look. He pulled the door closed and gave it a few strong tugs. It didn't budge. The latch was perfectly fine. Of course, he said I probably hadn't closed it all the way. But I knew I had. That night, I stayed awake, waiting. And sure enough, creak. The closet door opened. Again. But this time, no noise from the ceiling. Just silence. Something didn't feel right. I turned on the lamp, slowly looked up toward the vent, and screamed. 2 eyes. Wide. Open. Staring at me through the vent. My parents burst in, panicked, asking what was wrong. I told them everything, my voice shaking. They looked at each other, like they didn't believe me. They said I was dreaming, that I was imagining things, that I'd been staying up too late. They didn't get it. To this day, I remember those eyes. That door creaking open, over and over. That vent. I don't believe in the paranormal, but I don't have a single other explanation for those 3 nights. I live in the Poconos with my wife and kids. There's a small lake just a quarter mile behind our backyard. We used to go down there almost every weekend to swim and play. Used to. Last Saturday. Changed all of that. It was a perfect day. Warm. Clear skies. We set up our chairs along the sandy little beach. The kids, 6 and 8, were splashing in the shallows, laughing. My wife and I just relaxed. But eventually, she got tired and decided to walk back to the house. I stayed. The kids were still having fun. The sun was setting. I was starting to get tired, too. They were drifting too far into the water. I called to them. Asterisk, hey, come closer to shore. Asterisk. But they didn't hear me. I stood up, walked toward the edge of the water. And then I saw it. A round, dark shape. In the water. Just under the surface. It was moving. Toward my kids. I sprinted in, yelling. I grabbed them, yanked them back to shore. By the time I turned around, that object, whatever it was, had disappeared. The kids were confused. So was I? I just told them it was time to go. We packed up, walked home. But I wasn't okay. That thing wasn't a fish. It wasn't anything I'd ever seen before. At dinner, I barely touched my food. Just sat there, thinking. My wife asked what was wrong. I didn't answer. Not yet. Later that night, flashlight in hand, I went back to the lake. It was dark, silent. I didn't even know what I expected to find. But I had to look. I aimed the beam across the surface of the water. Nothing. Then, splash. A loud one. Something emerged from the water. I swung the light around, heart racing, searching, and then I saw it. A figure, silhouetted, tall, human-shaped, but wrong. Its face, or what should have been its face, was hidden by a curtain of long, soaked, black hair. It just stood there, facing me, still, silent. I couldn't see its eyes. I didn't want to. I dropped the flashlight and ran. Ran harder than I ever have. Back home. Slammed the door shut. Locked every bolt. I never told anyone. And what haunts me is knowing that lake is just a quarter-mile away. That thing, whatever it is, could be watching me. Right now. Through the window.